Have you ever gotten to the end of the day and just felt like you weren't really in the driver's seat? You know, like your attention was just pulled in a million different directions and none of them were really your choice? Well, in this explainer, we're going to dive deep into that exact feeling, this sense that we're losing our agency to technology, and, more importantly, how we can start to get it back.
All right, so here's how we're going to break this all down. First, we're going to talk about that feeling of vanishing control. Then, we'll get into the weeds and diagnose the real technological and even philosophical reasons behind it. And finally, we'll explore a powerful, really human-centered way forward. So let's start with this really strange situation we're in. We have more comfort and more convenience than at any point in history, right? And yet, so many of us feel kind of trapped, like we're in this invisible prison, totally overwhelmed and not really able to act.
Analyst Nate Hagens asks this simple question that just cuts right to the bone. Are you the author of your own day? I mean, really think about it. When you look back at how you spent your time, does it reflect what you truly value? Or was it just a long series of reactions to notifications, emails, and whatever else the world threw at you? For a lot of us, that answer can be pretty uncomfortable.
And this is exactly what we're talking about when we say agency. It's not some lofty, abstract concept. It's that real, gut-level feeling that you are in control. But according to Nate Hagens, that very feeling is becoming incredibly rare in a world that is just expertly designed to chop our intentions into a million tiny pieces.
Nate Hagens just nails the problem perfectly with this quote. Thanks to the internet, we are hyper-aware of every single problem in the world, but our personal ability to do something about it feels so small in comparison. He points out that this huge gap between our awareness and our agency, well, it doesn't lead to action. It leads to paralysis. It makes us feel cynical and maybe even a little ashamed. So you might be asking, how in the world did we get here? Well, this loss of agency isn't just a vague feeling. No, it's rooted in a huge shift in the way we actually think, a shift that is being actively encouraged by the tools we use every single day.
Psychologists actually have a name for this. They call it cognitive offloading. Basically, it's just delegating mental jobs to our technology. And we all do it, right? We use our phones to remember our best friend's birthday. We use GPS to navigate a neighborhood we've driven through 10 times. We even use AI to help us organize our thoughts. And look, it's incredibly efficient for sure, but it comes with a hidden price tag.
And that price tag leads to this critical question. As we lean more and more on AI, does our own mental machinery, our own thinking infrastructure, start to rust? Researchers are suggesting that, yeah, our ability to reason on our own, to solve new problems, and even just to hold our focus can get weaker. It leaves us more dependent on the very technologies that were supposed to set us free.
Now, to really understand what's going on, we have to go a little deeper. We need to look at the philosophy behind why our technology is designed this way. Because, this isn't some accident. It's the result of a very specific worldview that is baked right into the code of the tools we use.
The philosopher Martin Heidegger, way back in the day, he had a name for this: inframing. He warned that modern technology isn't just a neutral tool we pick up and put down. Nope, it actively frames how we see the entire world, forcing us to view everything, a forest, a river, even ourselves, as just a standing reserve, a resource to be managed, to be calculated, and to be optimized.
And here is Heidegger's crucial warning, the part that should give us all pause. The real danger isn't that we'll get addicted to our phones. The real danger is that the technological frame itself starts to use us. Our attention becomes a resource to be mined, our behaviors become data points to be analyzed, and our freedom gets quietly squeezed down to just choosing between a few pre-selected options served up by an algorithm.
This image right here, it just perfectly captures Heidegger's point. You see how our rich, complex, messy world, full of wonder and meaning, gets flattened into something like a circuit board, just a collection of resources standing by, waiting for an order. Our very own minds are challenged to serve the machine.
Building on this idea, another philosopher, Albert Borgman, talked about the device paradigm. He saw that what technology loves to do is hide all the complex, messy processes and just deliver an easy, final product. Think about the difference between a real hearth and a modern heater. The hearth, well, that requires engagement. You got to chop the wood, you got to tend the fire. A heater, you just push a button and get warmth. And that is the huge trade-off that Borgman was talking about. We gain convenience, But we lose what he called focal practices, these deeply meaningful activities that demand our skill, our focus, our attention. We trade the rich, rewarding experience of learning to navigate a city for just blindly following a dot on a map. We trade the joy of cooking for the efficiency of a microwave, and something essential just gets lost in the transaction.
So what's the endgame of all this optimization? What's it all for? Well, scholar Zhang Shuqin argues that the real resource these systems are built to extract, it isn't our data. It isn't even our money. It's the most precious, most finite resource we have, our consciousness, our focused attention. That is the new oil.
Okay, I know that's a pretty intense diagnosis of the problem. It can feel a little bleak. But the story absolutely does not end with us as just passive resources for the machine. There is a powerful human-centered response. And it starts not by trying to fight the machine, but by turning inward and cultivating our own inner world.
The incredible Zen master Thich Nhat Hanh offered a really profound way to resist all this external pressure. He taught that the very first act of true resistance is to build a place of refuge inside yourself, an inner island of peace and clarity that the chaos of the outside world simply cannot touch.
And according to Thich Nhat Hanh, the tools for building this island, they're surprisingly simple. It's through practices like mindful breathing or mindful walking that we can consciously unplug from that constant pull for our attention. By learning to be fully present, we can stop getting swept away by these big collective energies of distraction and anger and exhaustion. In a world that is demanding we constantly do more, simply learning to be becomes a revolutionary act.
So building that inner island is the foundation. It's absolutely crucial. But this isn't just about an individual retreat from the world. It's about all of us making a collective choice to protect and to prioritize the things that make us truly, wonderfully human. Historian Rutger Bregman gives us this just beautiful list of what we can choose to hold sacred. Just think about these for a second. The search for knowledge, the wonder of art, the bonds of friendship, laughter, and play, our capacity for love, and our pity for the suffering of others. These are the deep, meaningful experiences that cannot be optimized, they can't be quantified, they can't be replicated by an algorithm. According to Bregman, defending these qualities, choosing to spend our precious limited attention here, is the ultimate way we reclaim our humanity.
And in the end, it really all boils down to a choice. As the scholar Zhang Shuqin so powerfully puts it, agency isn't something that's just handed to us. It's something we have to actively, consciously claim for ourselves. The system is designed to make us feel small, to make us feel like we don't matter, but we have to choose to matter.
So we want to leave you with this one question. In a world that's engineered to harvest your attention, maybe the most radical thing you can do is to consciously decide where that attention goes. Reclaiming your mind starts with a single, courageous choice about what is truly worthy of it. So what will you choose to hold sacred?